Hey guys, it's Daniel and Mariah here, and today we're going to talk about some reasons why people stay in relationships longer than they should, specifically from a Christian perspective. So, Daniel, do you want to start us off on the first reason?
Yeah, and before we start, this list is not comprehensive, but it's going to summarize what we've experienced, what we've seen in other relationships. The first one is social pressure and influence. We realize that whether it be because of friends saying, man, you guys are perfect together, you guys are couple goals, or other reasons,
like family. I think sometimes your family can be really excited about the person you're with and really supportive and really invite them in on things like family vacations or family dinners. And just really make them a part of your family. And in those cases, when you know that person might not be right for you, it can make it extra hard to break up with them because they're not just connected to you, but connected to a huge part of your life.
Yeah, and the same goes with like shared friend groups. I know that sometimes when people are together for a while, there's just so many friends in common that it would just be so awkward to end that. So that's like a pressure that people feel that makes them less inclined to end the relationship.
Yeah, and so that's, I think, a huge reason why people stay together for a long time, and a valid reason.
Something else that is super awkward, too, is, like, I don't know about you, but, like, when people are in relationships sometimes, they'll take photos with the other person's family. And so whether it be on vacations or on trips to amusement parks.
Those memories are ingrained. They are ingrained into your family
and so,
for generations.
So someone is about to break up. I just picture someone like deliberating, brainstorming. I gotta break up with this person. Then they look to their left in their living room and they see a family photo with that person in it. And they're thinking, they're like, I just can't do this. I'm either going to have to cut this person out of this photo or I'm going to have to embrace the awkwardness of past, you know what I mean? There's so many different dynamics.
I think it would also be really hard if your boyfriend or girlfriend was really good friends with one of your siblings.
That's another factor.
That would be hard. Or even like, let's say Daniel met my youngest sister when she was 10, I think.
Yeah.
And if we had to break up, like that would have been so sad.
Breaking your heart would break my heart.
She would have grown up with you in a sense. Yeah. And so those reasons, friends and family.
There's something else I was thinking about with that. When it comes to, I forget it. Anyways.
Maybe it'll come back to you.
Maybe it'll come back. Next one.
The next reason that we've thought about a lot is that in the relationship, physical boundaries have been crossed.
What do you mean by that? Like.
So I mean that things that you intended to save for your spouse in marriage,
like sexual
activity, I guess you call it.
Antics. Sexual antics.
That you've actually just ended up doing dating. That can make things really complicated because maybe you pictured in your life in a way where you're like, oh, I really wanted to save this for marriage. And now I've done it before marriage, so now I kind of feel like I have to marry this person.
And I think another dynamic is like the shame of thinking like, oh, and if I break up with this person, could they use that information against me?
Wow.
Or like, oh, if I break up with them now, this thing that was intimate and it was a line crossed that we both weren't okay with, now could be processed and like almost like talked through with other people. And now it's not just something that I'm shameful about in and of myself, but it's something that other people know about. And it's like almost to protect yourself. Sometimes you like protect the relationship.
Yeah. I wonder too if it's like knowing that if you break up with them and end up with someone else, you're going to have to tell the next person you're with that you've engaged in those things. And those are all hard, super difficult things to walk through.
Yeah, I think so.
But at the end of the day, I don't believe, and I believe you don't believe, that physical boundaries cross is a reason to get married to someone.
Yeah.
If you're feeling like they're not right for you, you can feel freedom to break up because the reality is you don't want your marriage to end in divorce just because you felt that pressure to get married to them.
Or even like because most Christian couples wouldn't believe in divorce, so you also don't want your relationship just to be bad or your marriage to be bad, and commit to the person you know you're not supposed to be with just because you cross those lines.
Yeah.
And I think it's super important, and something that we believe too is that like the blood of Jesus, a saving relationship with Jesus redeems all things.
Yeah.
The Bible says that there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So like, as much as you feel the weight and the consequence of what you've done, you don't have to feel like nailed to that decision or committed to that decision, because there's someone who bore that guilt and condemnation for you and was nailed to the cross for you.
Yeah. So feel freedom from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we really encourage you to talk to friends and family that are close, that you feel comfortable enough opening up to about that.
Yeah.
So that you can walk forward in your decision to break up if that's the right decision.
Yeah. The next thing is too much shared. And
what do you mean by that?
Let's break this down a bit.
Yeah.
So I was in a relationship once, awesome girl. It was long term, and we had a Starbucks account shared, and it was kind of strategic because we were students, and we'd collect stars.
Pretty serious.
Double the speed as we would individually. We got all the drink rewards, all that stuff. But when it came time for the relationship to end, I remember thinking,
who's gonna get the Starbucks?
It was funny. It was kind of funny, but I literally thought like I ended up giving her the Starbucks account and stuff like that, but. It was a genuine thought. It was like, looking back, it's like such a small thing, but
it's
that's just one example of many things. What are some more examples that are maybe more serious that people share?
I think there's some relationships out there that maybe share bank accounts because they've actually been quite serious about marriage and maybe even saving for a wedding. And to think of the thought of breaking up and now having to go through the mess of splitting up all that money and dealing with the bank account, that could be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, we should like rapid fire for like 15 seconds.
Okay.
Like things that people share in relationships that could be pretty sad.
Okay.
So we're going to rapid fire. We weren't prepared for this, but we're going to rapid fire a couple things that people share in relationships over the next 10 to 15 seconds. Some of them will be serious. Some of them will not be so serious. Memories.
Pets.
Stuffed animals.
What? Grief.
That just got deep.
It's true.
Living space. So some...
Yeah, anyways. I'm sorry. We thought we were rapid firing.
Yeah, I realized that too. So I'm going to stop. Anyway, rapid fire, go.
Tradition.
Plants.
Ooh. Cars.
Nicknames.
They share a nickname or they have special nicknames?
Like a couple nickname?
Oh, like Dariah?
Like Manuel?
Would that be ours?
Yeah. Like Dariah? Anyways.
Yeah, I get that.
Comment below if you think our couple nickname should be Manuel or Dariah. Anyways, let's explain some of those. So, living space. Sometimes people could be roommates before they're married.
Or I've heard of sometimes the boyfriend or girlfriend is living at the opposite parent's house.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of stories like that.
Yeah.
Which is most of the time I've heard it works out great.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking about breaking up with that person,
don't have them live with your parents.
Don't have them live with your
parents. And don't live with their parents.
Yeah. That could get messy.
When it comes to pets, sad.
I personally wouldn't. Well, we're not really pet people, so forgive us. But I don't think I'd ever get a pet with someone I wasn't married to.
And if any of you are judging us because we just said we're not pet people, please forgive us. And,
I'm so sorry. But yeah, pets, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
But shouldn't be a reason why you stay together with someone for too long.
Yeah, and I'd also say grief. Like, I think this is a serious one that you brought up earlier, is like, sometimes the person that you're dating was with you for a critical moment in your journey, whether it be mental health challenges or the passing of a relative, or the being fired from a job, and you've relied on them in a significant period of grief in your life, and because of that, it's just so hard to end the relationship.
Yeah.
And those are valid.
Grief bonds people
exactly.
in a really unique way. Mm-hmm. And if that's been your person, your number one person you've relied on in those hard times, the person you'd call, it's so hard to imagine a life without them.
Yeah.
But don't let that be the only thing holding you together. I think that can even get quite unhealthy.
Yeah, no, that's good. Let's hit reason number 4.
Okay, reason number 4 is announcements and promises made.
Wow.
So I love you so much. I love you forever.
We're
gonna
getting
get
married.
We're gonna have 5 kids and live on a farm
and naming kids before you've even taken the step of getting engaged.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is common. This is common. I especially remember it being really common in high school.
Yeah. And it's not just promises made to each other too. It's promises made to others.
Oh.
It's like saying, "Oh, we're gonna get married."
We're gonna get married.
Or
she's the one.
Or we went ring shopping together, and it like ups the expectation from like, you know what I mean?
Totally. Like if we broke up after we went ring shopping, that would be difficult.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, I think like, especially if you're watching this and you're younger, let's say you're in high school and you're in a relationship, it can be so tempting to make those promises because it feels so good to hear them and it feels good to say them and be like, wow, I'm really serious about this person. And you're probably not feeling like you're lying when you say those promises. You feel so truthful in your heart that you're like, this is how I feel about this person. I want to be together with them forever. But let wisdom hold you back. And if you have made those promises and you're feeling like, man, I cannot break up with them because we've always said this. We've said we'd be together till the end and together forever. Grow old together, things like that. Don't let that be the thing that stops you from making the decision to break up if you really feel deep in your heart that's the right decision.
And a mentor of mine told me these kind of helpful words when I was deliberating a breakup a few years ago, and he said this. He said, "You're not married until you're married." And basically, what he was trying to convey is not just an obvious kind of catchphrase, but this notion that like you're not committed to someone in a relationship. You're not till death do us part until rings are on the fingers. Until the ceremony. Yeah. And so I think sometimes that can be the most freeing thing we can hear as people who are in dating relationships, to be like, whoa, I could actually step away from this with no real consequence. Obviously there's the consequence of grief. Obviously there's the consequence of heartache and sadness and all that stuff. But remember, you're not married till you're married, so feel freedom to, like, when you're seeing warning signs or you feel like, I shouldn't be in this relationship, maybe the person's awesome, but you just know they're not the right person for you, make sure to feel the boldness in understanding that, like, oh yeah, I'm not married till I'm married. Yeah. And I can end this moving forward to the person that God might have for you.
And it's always, like, breakups are always hard, even if you know it's the right decision. But you know what's way harder? Being married in a life with someone that you shouldn't have ever married.
A breakup is way easier than being in the wrong marriage.
Yeah, and so keep that in mind. If you're someone watching this and you're like, you know what? I don't know if the person that I'm dating is right for me. Yeah. Don't let time or history or promises made hold you back from thinking through the fact that you can make that decision if you want to. Yeah.
The last reason, the 5th reason why people don't end a relationship when they know they should, is the fear that they won't find someone better.
That is so real.
So people have built memories. They're like, this person's decent. They're great. The market out there is tough. Not just the
online
stock market,
and in person stuff.
Not just the stock market, but the relationship market as well. And it makes people feel like, almost like, okay, I'm losing a sense of security if I actually end this relationship. Yeah. I'm not going to find someone else.
I've had friends say, like, I couldn't imagine doing this all over again with someone else. Yeah. So meeting the family, getting so involved, and all of that with another person, like, that seems like an overwhelming thought, I think. When the person you're with might be, they have some things, and I'm not sure if they're the best for me, but, you know, we're in too deep right now.
And there's something in finance called the sunk cost fallacy that says that basically when you've gone too far into investing finance into a project, idea, or initiative, there comes a point where, because you've sunk so much cost into it, it's not worth starting a new project or a different idea, even if you know the idea that you've invested in is bad. But it's the fallacy, because it's just a mental thing. It's it's better to quit with 20% invested and use that 80%. I remember a friend of mine said, it's better to invest 80% into a good idea than 100% into a bad idea.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will say, I invested 20% into this relationship, so I better invest 100% in this bad idea, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to take my 80%, if we're talking time, for example, and dump it into a new idea, new relationship, new pursuit. Yeah. So keep that in mind as you're navigating things. Yeah. Remember, you're not married until you're married.
Yeah.
Any other words of advice for the crew?
I would say make sure you have a close friend or family member that you could talk about this with. That is so important to have when you're discerning relationships. And I don't think friends and family should always be like the controlling voice, but they should be a good, almost like sounding board
for sure
for you. But we'd love for you to comment any other reasons maybe you've experienced or you feel like other people experience for reasons why they stay in relationships for too long. So make sure to comment that below.
Yeah, let's keep the conversation going. In the comments, we always say it's so important for the best conversations not to happen here, but to happen below. Remember to like and subscribe.
And we'll see you next week.